The Father's State is amazing. Subscribe now.
Restless, I am so restless, and this changing world leaves me speechless. I am lost for words, but I kept my nerve.
Sorry. Don't ever apologize for getting emotional. It just means you are that much closer to what's meaningful. I had a mother who told me constantly how special I was. She would say to me very often, "Mijo, my son, you are meant to do great things in this world. The world will know your name." And boy, did that light a fire underneath me. And my goal was to be a famous actor, then the first Polish Mexican American president of the United States, and then I was going to end racism. I had this cheerleader. I had this woman, my mom, constantly would dust me off, get rid of my self-doubt, and push me back out there.
Welcome to the Father's State. I'm Jesse Lee Peterson. Today I'm joined by some accomplished entertainers. I have with me Joe Hernandez Kolsky. He is an Emmy Award-winning and two-time HBO Deaf Poet.
Yep.
Thank you for coming, man.
My pleasure.
Wow, this is going to be fun, I can tell already. Also have with me Joshua Silverstein. Silverstein. We went back and forth in the office about this.
That's great.
Joshua Silverstein, an accomplished actor and comic who can be seen weekly on Drop the Mic on TBS. How did you get into entertainment? You walking down the road and one day you decided?
I started acting as a child in professional theater in Chicago, when I was 11 or 12 years old, and really just immediately fell in love with it and went to Princeton University and thought, I need to focus now on my grades, and then was like, oh, look, that's an audition notice. And before I knew it, I continued with theater. And it's just, has always been the thing that I've done. I tried getting in my family. I have a strong political background from my family. So I worked briefly at the White House in college doing speech writing. And I just realized that that really wasn't a medium for social change that I thought, I didn't think it was the best use of what I could do.
Right.
And didn't make me the happiest. I love entertaining. I love making people laugh, and I love working with this guy and really just trying to push boundaries.
Joshua, how did you get into entertainment?
My parents both being activists, I was around a lot of art that was socially engaging, and found my roots in theater through various theater programs and workshops growing up in LA. I went to Hamilton High School, which is a very big theater program. And went to an art school for college, and jumped into the spoken word community as I was in college. Found my roots there, met Joe, and I think it kind of was a bit of a snowball effect of me just being in it all the time. I grew up at the Agape International Spiritual Center, which also was home to lots and lots of entertainers and actors and singers and songwriters. So I was always around art growing up.
So Joe, I read that you are half Mexican and half Polish.
Yes.
That's an amazing mix.
Well, not if you're from Chicago. It's about as Chicago as you get.
Really?
Yeah, I actually grew up, strangely enough, in a Mexican-Polish neighborhood. They're the two largest populations in the city of Chicago. The Polish population outside of Warsaw is the largest. Chicago has the largest Polish population. And the Mexican-American population is the third largest migration point. There's a lot of us there.
When you were growing up, were you attacked by the Mexicans for being mixed?
No, never.
Yes.
I was never attacked by Mexicans. No, not at all. I mean, I had my own insecurities. I definitely felt like I wasn't Latino enough, that there was a certain stereotype to what it means to be Mexican, and then I realized, no, I'm buying into the stereotypes.
Yeah.
It's not my job to fit into a certain box.
That's right.
It's the box has to be redefined based on what I am.
In the black community, if you're mixed, you catch hell, especially in high school. I don't know.
Well, let's
how
ask
this-
him.
I was about to say, so Josh, your father's white,
Yeah.
and your mother's black.
She is.
And was that
Still.
difficult for you growing up?
No, I never. I hear this construct a lot about how difficult it is to be multi-ethnic, and I never had any challenges with that.
Really?
No, I was pretty. I mean, I came up again. My dad from the jump was like, my son's black, so I didn't have any identity crisis growing up. I wanted to be cool. And I was a nerd, and so my thing was always, what's the coolest version of myself? And so sometimes that meant embracing, pop culture or black culture at the time, and sometimes that meant, hey, right now I like Vanilla Ice, So it just
You
depended.
never liked Vanilla Ice.
There was a small part of my life where I was like, Vanilla Ice is the coolest person on the scene right now, so I want my hair to look like Ice Baby,
That's right.
and it didn't look like that. But but I never had a what am I, who am I, where do I fit in kind of thing. I
That's
always
good.
was like, I just want to be cool. So wherever the cool kids are, white, black, Mexican, I want to be around. I want to be around those people. And I'm Jewish, and so the cool thing about being multi-ethnic is I get to be in the room. And sometimes I get to have experiences that other black men don't get to experience because they're not biracial.
I mean, there are people who think who get angry that they don't feel a part of either world, and
Yeah.
I don't see it that way. I see us as being this bridge between the worlds, and our ability to. I have tremendous access in many ways. I'm a white male who also is Latino, and that allows me to access in different ways.
What caused you to feel that you were not Latino enough for a while?
I think just imagery and just stereotypes of what it means to be Latino in this country, specifically Mexican, and the stereotypes that surround that.
Oh, I see.
And then there is a certain political activist mindset that comes out of that I always wanted to be a part of, but felt that I wasn't brown enough, wasn't from California or Tejas, or speak Spanish perfectly. And those are my insecurities, and I continue to work at them.
Right.
But like,
You still have them?
I think I'll always have them. I mean,
Really?
I think they'll change over the years.
Oh, okay.
But I think who I am will always. I'll walk into certain spaces and maybe not feel like the most comfortable or whatever. But I think there's something to that. I think we gain something from that. I don't think there's a coincidence that sometimes those who are struggling with their identity find themselves focusing more on those issues.
Do
Being
you-
politically active.
Do you think it's a mistake that interracial dating and marriage and making babies happens because a lot of people who are interracially mixed, they don't feel that they fit in anywhere. I
No,
hear that a whole lot.
not at all.
Do you think it's a mistake to interracially mix in that way?
No, I think in the end it's up to each individual who they fall in love with. But I would never be like, we shouldn't do this.
How you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, I would not want to not exist. So I feel like, I'm very grateful that my parents went against the grain and did the do and had me. But I think that I think identity crisis is it's something that people experience no matter what they are. I mean, I struggled with my own identity as a male more than I had issues with race. I had to figure out like what kind of man I was growing up. I was a sensitive, caring, compassionate man, and that didn't fly when I was a kid.
Well, that sounds like a perfect segue
in the
to
80s
discussing
and 90s.
masculinity.
Yeah,
in
like that
America.
was my thing. But racially, I had kids who definitely were programmed to think black was A, B, and C.
Yeah.
And so if I didn't fit in that realm, they were like, well, then you're not black like I'm black. But I've always felt that I am redefining what it means to be black in America. We have this weird issue with the monolith, right? The black monolith.
Yeah.
And people saying the black experience. And I always say, like, well, the black experience is still happening. It's still unfolding. Like, the being black didn't just stop, right? So so as a black man, I am adding to the black experience.
I'm surprised that you, maybe because you were over at Hamilton High, but that you didn't get beat up because you sound white, you act white,
Yeah.
and black kids would hate you. I mean,
Well, I remember
they would
being
like beat you up every day.
I remember being a kid, and I remember again, wearing the facade of what it meant to be cool at the time, and this is like the early '90s, and so what does that mean? So baggy pants, right?
Yeah.
Baggy pants, big shirts, and that was my way of trying to fit in, and it didn't look good on me. It wasn't my authentic
Right.
experience, and so people
Like
were like,
a white guy trying to be black.
well, it wasn't like the white guy trying to be black. It was like those pants don't fit you clearly, And my parents weren't into it. They're like, don't wear those clothes. So I got even bigger pants, right? So I was just a walking swatch of color, and fabric. As far as acting white and talking white, I don't know, man. I've always felt that black is intelligence. Black is strong. Black is proper English and grammar. I don't know that the black experience is watered down to Ebonics or street so I think that I speak like me and I speak like an educated person because I am, but that also doesn't mean that people who do speak with certain vernaculars are not educated. So I don't subscribe to the whole talk white, act white thing. I kind of fight that a little bit because I don't know what that means.
Yeah, we both have had very interesting experiences. Like my high school experience, I went to a predominantly black high school in Chicago where I never felt any uncomfortability or anything. I felt, it was the same high school that Michelle Obama went to, and we were the cream of the crop. It was it was the best public school in the city of Chicago, and as a child, my whole experience was really funneled through that. And I never once
Did you
felt
grow
any.
up on the south side of Chicago?
No, I grew up on the northwest side.
Oh, I see.
And
No wonder.
And so my school was on the west side.
Oh, I got you. And so let me ask, are you Catholic? Are you a Christian?
Dude, I'm hyper Catholic because I'm
Oh.
Polish and Mexican, which
Right.
makes me like super Catholic.
And how about you? You're Jewish?
I'm Jewish, but not practicing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So could you be a Christian?
I couldn't be. I'm more of an agnostic person than a specific.
And why is that?
religion. Why am I agnostic?
Yes.
I don't know. That kind of works for me. I feel like I grew up very spiritual, and believing in God and meditating and praying. And I think that where I've landed as what feels the most authentic for me as far as my belief systems feels like I'm in control of my life, and
Instead of God?
instead of any exterior entity that is pulling the strings.
And
I
so
feel like
agnostic mean that you believe there is a God, you just don't believe in him.
I believe that maybe there's something, but I also don't know. So agnostic for me means for right now I am responsible for my own life, but maybe I'm wrong.
And what is a man?
What is a man? That's quite a.
Well, I think what is it, the X chromosome?
Other than the
Excellent.
physical parts of a man, what is a man?
I don't think there is one single definition. I think there are 4.5 billion different men in this country,
Yeah.
and they all have their own definition. It's a pretty amazing thing. Like in the poetry world, there's this one poet who, when you start drinking the haterade, I was reading her bio once, and it said, she sees the world through a different pair of eyes. And I'm like, we all do.
Yeah.
So in the end, describing what being a man is in masculinity, I can tell you what my definition is.
Yeah,
my definition.
What is a man, and are you a man?
Absolutely.
You are a man, so what is a man,
So
in your opinion?
my definition is I grew up in a space attempting to always achieve balance between what is defined in larger terms as the feminine and the masculine. I was raised in a house where you were not afraid you were never afraid of your emotions, but I was also raised to be very chivalrous and be protective. And you protect a woman not because she's weak, but because she's important. So I've always had that in my life. So I grew up being the best friend of the girls. Like I was always like, I just hung out with girls. And like from the age of 10, when all the boys were roughhousing outside and all the girls were inside dancing on the dance floor, I was like, that's where I want to be.
Wow.
And so, I grew up.
Amazing.
Well, what?
Amazing.
I mean, that's just.
So do you identify more with the female rather than the male?
Well, it's interesting. I think I've gone through phases in my life where I was the one boy in the dance class, I was the one boy in the yoga class, and as somebody who is preparing to be someone's husband and someone's father, I gravitated to boxing as a form of expression for me,
Right.
because I felt balanced out who I am. I feel different.
What caused you to become so emotional as a young person?
I think we are all emotional, and I think some of us are just taught not to embrace it, and I think that's dangerous, and I think it comes out in unhealthy ways then. So I was always taught that it's never wrong to cry. And
Who taught you that?
my mom and my
Really?
dad, yeah.
Did your father know that your mother was teaching you to be emotional and play with
Sure.
and dance with the
Yeah,
girls?
everything that I became, these were choices that they made together.
Why did he allow her to teach you that?
Because he came from an unemotional family, and it wasn't healthy for him.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, I grew up, my grandparents were alcoholics and did not know how to express their emotions, and because of that, I think I think there was some growth that did not occur.
So are you married?
No.
And have you dated?
Yeah.
So when you date women, do they resent you for being like them, emotional like a woman?
No, because I don't think I'm emotional like a woman. I think I'm emotional like a man. I'm
Well,
emotional like I am.
But real men are not emotional.
Yeah, that's where I think we're going to disagree.
Why?
Because first of all, the definition of what is a real man, we're real by the fact that we exist. There is no definition of what it means to be real. And I think there are different definitions for every single person.
But if you are emotional and your girlfriend is emotional, when she is emotional, how do you help her? If you're feeling,
I think there's a balance that occurs.
She's feeling.
I think there's a balance that occurs. I think we can become the rock when the person needs that, and
But
vice
how,
versa.
if you're emotional, you can't be a rock.
I think what your definition of emotional is maybe different than mine.
What's yours?
Mine means like being connected to what affects you and not being afraid of that. So I don't run away from that, but at the same time, when I need to be the rock, I'll be that.
One last thing about that. So when you were growing up, the boys would be outside playing, the girls would be inside dancing.
Yeah, I
And
had
that
all the
was something-
13-year-old girls on lock.
And that was something.
I was
in
10
you-
years old. I had no idea what to do with them, but
And there was something within you that said, "Hey, I'd rather be dancing with the girls than playing outside."
yeah,
Yeah.
because the girls loved to dance with Joey Kolsky, because I would do my little footloose dance move, and they just
They'd go
fell in love with
You
me.
crazy.
still dance?
Oh God, yeah.
Let me see you cut loose.
I'm not gonna cut loose right now.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Hello, everybody. Troll your liberal family members by getting them our brand new Fallen State t-shirts. On the front, it says, The Fallen State. On the back, it says, That's amazing. And don't forget our coffee mugs. The front, The Fallen State. The back, Did you have fun? And don't forget my book, The Antidote, Healing America from the Poison of Hate, Blame, and Victimhood. You can out of here. You can go to the Fallen State TV and order now. Joshua,
Yeah.
other than the physical part of the male, what is a man?
Well, I mean, look, gender's a construct, right? Gender is a construct that was created to create power, right? And we have bought into the construct because it makes a lot of men feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I think part of the issue with what is a man is you create this rigid definition and then you push away anybody that doesn't fit into that construct. So for me, as a father, as a man in a relationship, I think what a man is to be human. And I think that what I'm teaching my children is to not be afraid of accessing their feelings and emotions, of being responsible, of caring for their family. And these are things that I am hoping that my kids grab onto as morals and values. But I don't know that that defines a man in the broad sense, but it defines me.
You have children,
I have 2 kids,
boys or girls?
a boy and a girl.
Really? And are you married?
I have a fiance, we're not married yet.
Really?
Yeah.
And so you're teaching your boys and girls to be emotional.
No,
your boy and your daughter.
I don't think teaching someone to be emotional is the accurate way of saying it. I'm teaching them to have access to their feelings. Now feelings and emotions are different, right? I can have a emotion about seeing a movie, and I can go, oh, this movie is making me feel sad, and I think and I can go, well, that's fine. There isn't anything wrong with you watching something and making you feel something. But I'm not teaching my kids to be irrational. And what that means is you can have emotions, but you can't let those emotions govern your reality, right? So teaching my son to go, hey, listen, if you feel bad about something that someone said to you, that's fine. And it's okay to express that you feel bad. But you can't let that emotion dictate every action you're going to take from then on out. And so,
but if you're into emotions, how would you prevent your emotions from dictating things if you're into
well,
that?
that's a great question. It's about being responsible, right? So being human means, all right, I feel this way, but I'm in control of my life. I'm in control of my actions and how I express. So, Joe and I work together a lot, and Joe and I, it's art, and art is, by the very sense of the word, emotional. There's emotions in art. Our job as artists is to have access to what we feel, right? And Joe can have a feeling that creates an emotion in him, and he can express that emotion. And I know that it's my job as his partner, as working with Joe, to go, all right, that's how my friend feels. He's expressing his emotion. But also, I know that I can't let that experience affect me to where I become irrational. Yeah. So there's space for emotion.
So do you tell Joe to cut it out?
Not in those words.
Like, cut out all that mess.
No.
Act like a man.
Well, we've learned how to accept that we're both
We're
both very passionate about what we believe in.
Right.
And so when we get into the creative writing room, we both have opinions, and we really we hash it out, which is, I think, a pretty amazing. I think it's pretty powerful what we do. The fact that we've dedicated our lives to navigating what's going on inside of us, in hopes that other people will identify with the experience.
So many people, men and women, do not have access to their emotions and their feelings, and you see it acting out in today's culture. You have people who are running into relationships that are toxic and unhealthy because they don't know how to access their emotions. You have people in power who are freaking out because all of a sudden they're feeling things and they don't know how to deal with it. So I think being in a place of, these are my feelings, these are my emotions, is fine. Being emotional often kind of correlates, I think, with being irrational. And so I don't think emotions are irrational. They may not be real. They may not be, you may have an emotion that's based on ignorance, or an emotion that's based on a feeling that's not actually happening. But I don't think the having of emotions is a negative thing. I think being able to experience it and being able to express it healthy is fine.
You said that gender is a construct?
Yeah.
What do you mean by construct?
Construct meaning that it is man-made, meaning that there's no scientific proof that it exists, except for the rehearsal of it in our society.
Yeah.
For example,
it's not God-made, it's man-made?
Well, you're talking to an agnostic. So I don't know that God made gender, right? Because...
But he did. He made man and made woman from man. But let me ask you this.
Yeah. But hold on, let's go to that. So if God made man and woman, right? Talking about a powerful, omnipotent being who created from his own image and likeness a man and then a woman, correct?
From the man,
from the rib, right? From that experience, was there a breakdown as to the ingredients of the male and female?
Yes.
There was?
Yes.
Is that in the text?
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know.
Yeah. So let me ask, is your father, Joshua, is your father an emotional man?
My father is a man who definitely has access to his feelings, if that's what you're asking me.
Right. So does that mean, yes, he is an emotional man?
Well, I still am not sure that we have the similar to the, I think when you think emotional, you think irrational. And so I'm not quite sure that we're on the same page as what emotions mean. So if you think my father's irrational, no. My father definitely has feelings and is sensitive when it comes to certain experiences, but I don't think my father's an emotional person.
Let me ask, have you seen the movie Inside Out?
No.
Yeah, he wouldn't.
So
like
let
it.
me ask you: Is your father?
Because
any
when that
working-
rocket went up, I just want to know if a tear came out of your eye. That's all I want to know.
Have you seen Bambi?
No,
You ever seen Bambi?
no.
Have you ever seen a cartoon movie before in your life?
Have I ever seen one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me a cartoon movie you've seen.
Pop Out a Sailor Man.
Well, that's a TV cartoon, but how about like a movie?
I don't go
You've
to
never
movies to see
in your
cartoons.
entire life you've never
No.
seen. Well, you're missing a lot of art out there.
But I'm just not into
Or like
cartoons
Finding
like
Nemo,
that.
when the
But-
little tortoise falls off, and then you're worried that it's not going to make it
Do you
back.
do you have
Like,
kids?
You can't help
Yes.
but
Have
like.
you taken your kids to see a film that was animated?
No.
So you've not taken your children. A man
What about
has
Coco?
not taken his children to see a movie?
No. So let me ask, why is it that I'm like stunned listening to you guys right now
Yeah.
about it's okay for men to be emotional.
Yeah.
Growing up,
Yeah.
I never thought I would see today when I would hear men agreeing to become like a woman.
Well, look,
rather
again,
than to be
as a black
But
man.
Let me ask this.
yeah.
Let me ask this.
Yeah.
Why is it that in society today there are people who are trying to destroy masculinity but not destroy women?
Well,
They're trying to turn men into women, but not women to
Let's
men.
go to that question,
Why
because
is that?
it's a great question.
First of all, have you noticed that?
I think I understand what you're saying,
So
but
you
I,
have noticed?
I disagree with the way you're
But you
phrasing it.
notice this happening, right?
I notice what's happening is people are breaking down the construct. And so, you look at
But
slavery.
why are they turning men into girls?
Well, you look at slavery, and I don't know who they is, but you look at slavery.
The man hated feminists and weak men and
Well, feminists
and the
are
media
just.
and stuff like that.
So look,
why are they turning?
let's go
Why
back
are they
to-
turning men into girls, and why are men accepting it?
Let's
I
go-
would never want to be a girl.
Right. Well, you're missing out.
Why?
But
Would,
let
what am I
so,
missing? I mean, all that emotion and stuff is not good.
well, women are awesome, but I also feel like
Awesome?
awesome.
In
Like,
what way?
how are women
How are
awesome?
women
Yeah.
awesome?
Yeah.
If you have to ask that
Oh.
question,
So tell
I don't
me.
know what else to tell you.
How are they awesome?
How are women awesome? I mean,
I mean, we can first of all
they're-
talk
Hold-
about.
hold on, let me
So
just-
so if we have a society of nothing but dudes, does that
Oh.
sound like a society you want to live in?
How are women awesome?
Well, that's the answer to your
That
question.
doesn't answer my question.
It does
No.
because if by nature.
Are you saying they're awesome simply because they're on Earth and they're women?
That's one
We'll
of the
just
ways.
start there,
that-
sure.
Yeah, like
Really?
the fact that they
That's
exist
all it takes
is
for a woman?
amazing. Yeah, a woman
Have
doesn't
you
have
ever
to,
seen? I'm not
A
gonna
woman doesn't
go down
have to
there.
do much
But you
to
didn't
be
tell me,
awesome.
yeah, how
just
is she
by
awesome?
well, by the fact that she gets to exist and express, just by that is an amazing thing.
I
Like,
think, but I do think that there's
You're not-
something to
you're
be.
not saying anything.
But I think there's something to be said for the difficulties that women have overcome. The same way, in my opinion, the African American community has overcome certain subjugation. I think it speaks to the strength of the human spirit. And I think in the end, we are 7 billion individuals, regardless of male or female. And when you put them under pressure, we know the old metaphor of you take a piece of coal and you put enough pressure on it, you have a diamond. I think that's very important.
Are you
when,
saying that women don't buckle under pressure?
I think women have had to overcome a lot.
Do they buckle under pressure?
No.
I
Yes,
think
they do.
people buckle
No,
under
I
Yes,
think
they
pressure.
do.
I think some people have difficulties.
Absolutely not true.
You don't think men buckle under pressure?
I
Weak
think
men do.
Weak
I
men
think-
buckle
Emotional
under
men
pressure.
do.
I think
but
men-
not real men.
no. I think real men.
Real
and
men
you're
overcome the pressure. Weak men buckle under pressure like a woman would do.
No, but I think that's the same can be said for women, for strong women and weak women. And I think we all are overcoming our different.
Do you
difficulties.
believe women are awesome as well?
Absolutely.
And what's awesome about them?
In my life has been radically improved by every woman I've ever had come into my life.
That's so sad.
How is that
why is
sad?
that sad?
That's like just sad.
Okay, so my mother is an
What has
educator.
happened to manhood?
I mean,
My mother's
So-
an educator who has brought young people throughout over 30 years to travel overseas. She's changed people's lives just through teaching. She was my mom, so I learned about who I was through her experience. She endured so much so I could be where I am. I mean, look, the fact that I get to be in this city is because of my mom, right? So
not because of your father.
now,
because of both of them.
now, what? How?
But
What?
who do you worship more, your father or your
I
mother?
don't worship anything.
Not like you worship your mother.
I think I'm grateful for my mom, but worship to me feels like
Yeah, I mean,
over the
I don't
existence
worship
of
my
others.
mom. Like, if anybody worships his mom, it would be me. And I don't worship my mom. She was a fallible human being, but who I am is
Are you just like your mother?
In certain ways I am, but in other ways I'm like my father.
Who was your mom?
Amazing.
Wait, who was your
Well,
mom? Who was your mom?
Katie Peterson.
What did she do for a living?
She was a housewife.
She was, and
Yeah.
were you around her often, or
Not a lot.
No.
He was-
No, I was raised by my grandmother.
Grandparents.
Okay, so your grandmother was
Yes.
around. What was she like?
She was a good, hard-working, decent woman.
Yeah.
But not awesome.
She wasn't awesome.
No
There was no
one-
awe about the work she did.
In those days, women were noble women.
Right.
And they
But nobility
understood-
has a certain awe to
They
it, right?
understood the order of life, and they understood the order of men and women. They wouldn't even want you to call them awesome
Yeah.
because they understood the order of life. And now you have these weak women and weak men
Right.
who they're into the awesome because they're trying to make up for something that was lost.
And what was lost?
Love, strength. The
Right.
men are weak, so the women are weak.
But
And
isn't-
now you got to pretend that they're awesome.
But isn't love an emotion?
No.
Love's not an emotion.
That fallen state love is the
Yeah.
one that when you have anger, you have anger,
I do have anger.
and you have anger.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you think that women are awesome.
Because I have
Because
anger?
you become like your mother, you're in a fallen state. So you feel and think like women.
So hold on. So when you're in a fallen state, you feel like a woman, and women are weak, and they are weak because why again?
Because the men are weak, their fathers are weak.
So-
The men
so
that-
we're
the men
living
that
in a
they dated,
society full of
listen
women-
to Joe's like, wow, I learned so much from
Absolutely.
the women they made.
But you didn't learn anything from your grandmother?
I did.
So you learned something.
Right, but I'm not into just learning from women the way Joe is.
But it sounds like you're sharing a similar experience to what he's sharing, which is
No.
you had a woman in your life who taught you things.
By example.
Right,
Yeah.
but that's still learning.
But she taught nobility. She didn't teach me to be a woman.
But she taught you how to be noble like a woman.
No, noble like a man.
So a
And the-
woman
and the
taught you how to be
reason-
noble like a man.
The reason that she
So
was
hold on,
noble
let's-
because she respected my grandfather. He was noble.
So the
And
woman
that
in the-
she got
So-
her.
so as long
she got
as the
her
woman-
life from him.
Okay, so as long as the woman knows her place,
I got it.
we're good. Is that?
What do you mean by her place?
Well, you keep talking about the.
She knew where she was as a woman. And,
Yeah.
Right.
But so you
Is there
learned.
something wrong with that?
Well, I'm just trying to figure it out. You learned how to be a
Is there
man.
something wrong with knowing your place as a woman?
Absolutely, because
think-
that place
I
is
think-
being redefined.
I think
You see
place
something
in
wrong with
that.
that?
I think place is also a very interesting word because when you say place, do you mean path or you mean like?
Give me a yes or no first. Do you think
Well, I can't give you a yes
there
or
is
no
something
answer to that
wrong with
question.
a woman knowing her place?
I think if she feels like that is her role in life and that makes her happy, I don't think there's a problem with
And
that.
you think there's a problem?
I mean, I think it's the woman's choice.
Yeah, whatever she decides her place
Amazing.
is.
Like-
Do you think men are awesome as well?
Yes,
And-
I think we're fallible human beings who are adjusting, and
Fallible meaning what?
we're redefining how the world exists. White males are not the only people in power, or shouldn't be,
Why not?
because it's a nepotistic form of power that 9 times out of 10 isn't gained through hardship and work.
But how are you going to decide that white men
I'm not.
should not be the only one in power?
That's not my-
Power is not something that someone gives you. Power is something that comes out of you, and no human being can decide
Oh, in this
who's
country?
going to be in power or not.
In this country, nepotism, and I've seen when I went away to college, and I could be very easily the poster child for affirmative action. I saw many legacy grad students who were accepted based on who their parents were. So
But blacks do that too. You can go to the average black college right now, and if your parents went there and graduated from there, you could get in.
Correct. And
Based
I don't-
on the fact that your parents
correct.
went there. So
And
what's
I
wrong
don't-
with
I
white
d-
people doing it?
I don't challenge legacies as a way, but I also want it to be exemplified when people try to attack affirmative action.
I want to move a little further here. First, do you agree with me that if it wasn't for white people, there would be no America?
I mean, I think it's a combination of so many different people.
But how about that, though? Because
it's
white
because
people
of white
founded,
people?
white people started, white people keep it running.
No, I don't agree with that.
Do you agree with that?
And that white people came here, enslaved a bunch of people, created genocide.
And then said, "Look what I did."
And look what I did? Yeah, totally. White people totally did that. And that's America, absolutely.
But they do that in Africa too. Blacks sell
Who
black,
does?
enslave other blacks.
Sure, humanity's
They
flawed.
use blacks for money as one, other blacks.
Yeah,
use
everybody
blacks
slaves
to make
everybody.
Financial
Yeah, but
deals.
the-
let me ask this: if white people become the minority in this
they are.
country,
We're
White
having
people-
babies like
white
crazy.
are you
people are
happy
the-
about that?
I think in the end it depends. This is the issue that I wanted to make sure we addressed here today.
But answer that first. Are you happy about that?
No, I'm not. I'm not happy with any subjugation of any population.
Do both of you agree that if white people become the minority in the United States of America, that the United States of America will become a ghetto?
A ghetto?
First of all-
you mean a place where ingenuity comes out of poverty?
Yeah.
No, I mean a place where
That's what
normal
that's
people
what
have to
ghetto
go
means,
to
though.
the moon to live. Because if you notice, you got people of color coming into our country, right?
Right.
And all they're doing is turning it into the environment that they left. They
That's
turn
not-
it
that's
Do
not
you
true.
know?
into a
Do
ghetto.
you know where Windsor
They're
Hills?
not
Dude,
very-
have you seen half of the DACA recipients that are being attacked? They're some of the smartest kids ever.
No, I mean, yeah, in that they're joining
and which
MS-13.
is why they're trying. Which is why Trump is trying to push them out because he knows
no, they're
he knows these are
joining-
intelligent Latinos who will not
That's
vote
not
for his
it.
party.
That's not it. He knows that they're here illegally. They should not be here, and that they're joining MS-13 gangs. They're taking advantage of our social services.
that's inaccurate.
They are hating America. They fly the Mexican flag.
So
And
wait, I'm just curious
normal
about-
people don't want them here.
No,
So you
that's
think-
They want the
inaccurate.
illegals here,
Yeah, of course.
but they're hurting blacks first and foremost.
How are they hurting blacks?
They're going into the hood and they hate the blacks.
So wait,
they're taking over.
wait, hold on,
Again-
just so I understand this without. So the immigrants are coming over here and they're hurting the blacks?
Yes,
Wow.
they are fighting with them. They hate the blacks.
And
first
who are
of
the
all.
immigrants? You mean the Canadians?
The illegal aliens.
So the Canadians
No.
are coming. Well, they're also.
The Canadians
So
not
you-
moving
so
in
the
hood.
French
It's
are-
the Mexicans and the
Where are the French
Salvadorans
moving?
and all those people.
Are the
But
French
let's stay with
moving
that
in?
point because
the
of time.
Mexicans. So the Joes are coming over here and they're
Just half of me.
Okay, so half of Joes are
Right.
coming over here and hurting half of me. Okay.
You're not aware of that? Are you aware of that, Joe?
It's inaccurate. It's
No,
not.
it's absolutely true.
A large
Go over
percentage
to Crenshaw
of.
High School.
So my
Go
fiance-
to Hawthorne High
so-
School.
so just so I understand,
Go to Manual
my-
Art High School. You will see what's going on.
So my fiance-
Go to Compton, California.
My fiance is
I work with
Mexican.
these people.
In regards
my
to that
fiance
issue,
is Mexican. She
Well,
she
no
came over
wonder
here.
you dated a Mexican.
I
You
didn't just date.
cannot-
I'm gonna marry her.
And especially being emotional.
Have you seen
you
his
cannot
fiancée?
tell the truth.
So
She
she
is
came over here.
She's awesome.
She's amazing.
She's awesome.
She's
She's
also
awesome.
the department head of the Brain and Neurology Institute at USC.
I
so-
bet you're afraid to tell her the truth about how they are affecting our country in a negative way.
I don't know that I believe that.
Yeah, I don't agree with
I don't
that.
think that's
Well,
true.
you're not paying attention.
I think you
I
feel
work
that.
with these people every day in the hood.
So you do?
Uh-huh.
Who are these people?
And a lot of blacks have moved back south to Georgia and Alabama
Because
because
of the
they're not feeling
Mexicans.
safe. Yeah.
Again,
And in Mexico,
Again,
black people are the underclass. As a matter of fact, they just deported some blacks from Mexico
Yeah.
because they were black.
Mr. Peterson, the true issue, I believe, is the disparity of wealth.
No.
I think people are fighting for crumbs of a pie that is a very small percentage, while the people who continue to encourage you and say, yay, he's speaking the truth, are people that are making a tremendous amount of money off of all of us.
Well, anyone can make money if they work hard, discipline themselves.
I disagree
know
with
black
that.
people who are doing it every day.
But you
I
said
think there
that
are some
black people
examples.
are not doing
and the
well.
reason that blacks are not, not all, but most blacks are not doing well because they're coming from one-parent homes, and these mothers don't know how to guide them in the right way.
Right.
But I want to move to Kanye West because of time.
Let's do
Okay,
it.
sure.
Let's do it, Kanye West.
Kanye has been speaking out in a major way lately. You guys heard about that.
Oh
right?
yeah, he's
Oh,
speaking
He
out.
yeah.
loved the
Way.
president.
Yeah.
He wanted blacks to not spend the next 400 years enslaved,
Sure.
as they did the last 400 years.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I think Kanye needs to be on his medication.
Really?
Yeah, he's-
And why?
Well, because he's not taking his medication like he should be. He even said so.
Is he saying anything that's not true?
Yeah, I don't think. I
yeah.
think everything he's
I think
saying is not
everything.
true.
Like what?
Well,
That slavery was a choice?
yeah.
He cleared that up for you by saying that in order for blacks to stay enslaved for 400 years, they had to be physically enslaved as well as mentally enslaved.
Right.
And so he doesn't want them to spend another 400 years mentally enslaved.
Sure.
Okay,
So
so
they're
but-
being controlled by the
So,
Democrats
so
and the
if
liberals.
so if every
Do you agree with that?
So I understand that there's something to be said for you're always going to find what you're looking for, and I believe that, and I believe if Mr. Peterson continues to search for examples of whites being taken advantage of by blacks, you're going to continue to find that. However,
You don't have to look very hard.
see, but I think you do, because I think there are more examples of, and very legitimate versions of where voter disenfranchisement has occurred throughout the
No
years.
proof of that.
Redistricting.
Tons of proof
No,
of
no.
that.
It's
Absolutely.
easy said but not proven. You have to realize the children of the lie, the Democrats and the
So, okay.
right, they just throw out lies and you guys believe the lies.
So
But when
you
do
so you
research
think that there
about-
is some radical conspiracy that you have insight into that the rest of the world doesn't? That you've
I
that
know
you've
about
taken
it
the red
because I
pill in
pay
the
attention.
Matrix. You pay attention to what?
What's happening around me and in my world?
Through how do you?
Explain this to me, both of you.
Yeah.
I grew up on a plantation in
Yes.
Alabama under the Jim
Midway,
Crow laws.
Alabama.
Right. And you did your homework. Nice. And blacks were better off when it came to morality and work, and they bought land and they bought houses. They educated themselves under that law while the law was there. Why were blacks able to do better then and not complaining, not blaming the white man? They knew it was the Democratic government that had passed this law to restrict blacks as far as where they can live and stuff. Why weren't blacks complaining then as opposed to now when they can do whatever they want, whatever they want?
But they were complaining.
Why weren't they? No, they weren't.
They were complaining.
Because they were lynched.
I was there.
Because the minute they complained, they were lynched.
That's not true.
So there was no lynching at that time?
It was happening somewhere, but not in Alabama where I was. I'm sure you can find some. But why were blacks not complaining then?
So what's
but
the-
they had good lives and better lives
I-
then than they do now.
As far as I know, and from my research that I've done, they were complaining.
You've been
What's
lied
the,
to.
what's
The
the
school-
population of black people
been
that were
lied
in
to.
that were in your area that you were a part of?
I was too young to think about population, but
Okay,
it was
so-
a major population.
So like talking
You know,
about how
you-
many people?
I have no
So
idea.
give me. So you as
So
a child
explain
were
it.
able to observe that everybody was happy.
Yes.
But you also said
Blacks
that you
were
don't
not
know.
going to jail for the most part. You know,
But wait.
there were no gang violence.
I just want to understand
That
the,
only started when blacks left the South and moved to the North, and they got on welfare. They started depending on Jesse Jackson and others. They stopped, as Kanye West want them to do, they stopped being free thinkers.
I mean, this has always been a challenging point when we deal with this issue. Is, as I said earlier, you're going to find what you're looking for, and there is a certain amount where, you know, how do we break the mindset of victimization per
Yeah.
se? But they are victims.
No,
they're
not
there are
victim to the white system.
but
they're
there are
victim
so
to
many
a destructive
examples.
home.
but also you have to again, like going back to slavery. It was an institution that was people were mentally enslaved.
Our current prison system-
and still are mentally enslaved.
And
Yes.
even then, they were better off then than they are today. Because
So, but
they
you're-
were more
but you're
people,
talking about a
they
trickle-down
worked,
effect. So you
they
got-
were not bitching and complaining about the white man not giving them anything.
Sure, but how
And they
many?
should be embarrassed.
I think that's a fallacy.
You even have the men complaining, "Oh, the white man won't give me some more permanent
Right.
rights."
Who
is
and
this
the men
person?
should be
Yeah, I don't
embarrassed.
know who
I
we're
know
talking
so
about.
many countless African American
You
men.
don't know black men
Oh,
complain
honey,
about
I got
racism.
a lot of black friends who
You
are
don't
my
hear them
dearest,
complain about
dearest
racism?
homies.
I think
Oh,
complain
honey,
about
I got a
racism?
lot of black friends who
You
are
don't
my
hear them
dearest,
complain about
dearest
racism?
homies.
I think we complain about racism because it's real, but I don't think we use racism as a tool for not doing what we need to get done.
Well, how is
I-
racism real?
How is it real?
Where's your proof that it's real?
Where's it real?
It just I mean,
Where do we
Philadelphia
start?
is a perfect example of how
What?
racism is real. In Philadelphia, where these black men were arrested by the police because they were just in Starbucks, that's a real example
Well,
of racism.
that's not true, though.
What do you mean it's not true?
They were not arrested because they were in Starbucks.
Why were they
They
arrested?
were arrested because they would not leave. They just sat there and sat there. The manager
Right.
asked them to leave.
And where is
they
it
would not
s-
leave. and the cops came and asked them to leave.
Right.
They would not leave, so they were arrested.
So why were
Isn't
they
that
asked?
common
Why
sense?
were they asked to leave?
Because
though?
they were not buying anything. They just sat there for hours.
Now, you don't-
And
you-
you can't come into my business and just sit there and don't buy anything.
Yeah, but they were
That
waiting for
happens.
their
Have
friend.
you ever been to
No.
a Starbucks?
They were not waiting.
But their friend showed up.
And that's all lies.
It's all-
Don't
No.
fall for- I don't know if it
Okay,
was
so
your-
this is
but
these.
but my point is, they were not arrested because they were just sitting in Starbucks.
Okay, so here's an example. Okay, so at Hamilton High School, they used to have these things called truancy tickets. Okay,
Right.
now you know what those are?
Being late for class or something.
Right. So the police would drive around the neighborhood and arrest kids who were not in school during school hours.
Right.
And so I, a young black kid, was arrested countless times
Right.
for trying to get to class on time, while the cops would drive around looking for more kids. Now we always drove past white kids. We didn't pick them up. So maybe that's just a random occurrence, but it happens so much it's hard to ignore
Are you
the
saying
fact.
that's an example of racism?
Absolutely.
Yeah, what they were taught.
That is not an example of
What's
racism.
What's an example
I
of?
counsel with some of those kids from that school
Okay.
as I do other schools.
But what's it an example
They come
of?
from one-parent homes.
Yeah,
they
but-
don't
but
obey
that's
the
not
teachers.
about-
They're not into class, and because black people have not corrected their children.
So
then
wait,
sometimes
just
the
so I
good
understand.
sometimes the goods have to suffer with the bad.
So the cops were picking up only the black kids and the brown kids,
Because it
avoiding
was-
the white
it
kids.
was
That is
majority
not.
of them that's
What do
doing
you
that.
think racism is?
It doesn't exist.
Well, okay, so if it
It's a
does
made-up
exist,
lie.
what is it? What does it mean?
It doesn't exist.
So okay, but you're saying the word. What do you think people
It's a
mean?
made-up word.
What do people mean by racism to you?
It's a made-up word by the children of the lie in order to control and manipulate. I gotta ask you about.
Okay,
But when we were growing up,
Yeah.
when black people were decent people,
Yeah.
they said there was good and bad in all races.
Uh-huh.
Treat people the way you would like to be treated. Whites taught their kids the same thing.
Sure.
And as a result, the people got along well. It was the government that had the law there to divide as far as freely living where you want. But the blacks and the whites got
Yeah.
along. That's why the white people died to help get the laws changed. They sacrificed their lives. It wasn't the people, it was the government.
Yeah,
But
this
I
is-
gotta
this-
ask you about the
I don't
great white.
No, I have one more point to say about that. I still miss my ex-girlfriend, and it's because I've romanticized the past.
No, you
If I
miss
were
it
to-
because you're emotional.
If I were to go back to it,
are emotional.
if I were to go back to it, I would realize all the same reasons that we broke up in the first place. I think you romanticize the past
No.
in a way that
I
is
know you guys
inaccurate.
don't want to believe it, but you've been lied to.
I don't know what.
And
You
don't
keep
believe
going-
each
you
other.
I
keep
don't know
going
what
back to
lie.
the-
The lie is. What's the lie?
That black was so bad off back then, and that because of Jim Crow laws,
I
blacks
think-
were being hung from
So
trees.
were
and-
blacks ever
and
enslaved?
blacks were, 150 years ago?
Were they? So that
It
was
had
real.
nothing to do with what's happening even when I was growing up.
That
So
has
wait, just so I
everything to do
understand,
with
just so I
race.
It had
understand, just so I
nothing to do
understand.
with
You
Yeah.
do believe? I just
This
need to get
is
a
why
foundation
Kanye
for.
West
Okay.
doesn't want you to live another 400 years mentally enslaved.
Right. So, but wait. So you do agree that we were mentally enslaved at one point,
No.
but you said that Kanye West
You're
doesn't want.
mentally enslaved now.
So you
because
weren't before.
Right.
So you were not mentally enslaved before.
That's right.
So you disagree with Kanye.
I do.
Okay. Oh well, then we.
On that part, I
good.
do.
Oh, so we weren't. Okay.
Because blacks are mentally enslaved today. Because
and they,
of the
but they
broken-
weren't. They weren't before.
They were not. They were physically enslaved.
but
150
not mentally
years ago.
enslaved.
No.
So if I have a slave, he is physically in bondage, but he's also a free thinker.
You can be a slave and not be mentally
So for
enslaved.
Sure.
Let me do this because of time, guys.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
The Great White Hope. What do you think about him?
The movie, it's a great movie with
James
Earl Jones.
I really enjoyed
like
it.
that movie.
I also like The Great White Hype,
Yeah, yeah.
which is closer to who our current president is, who you're
What's your
referring to.
impression of the
Oh,
Great
this is
White
a Trump.
Hope? You know,
He's the hope. Oh no, I don't agree.
he's the hope for America and for black
No,
Americans.
He's a snake
What's your
oil
impression
salesman.
of him now?
He's a snake
What's
oil
my-
salesman.
And give me an example.
He hired as the Secretary of State the former CEO of Exxon, who currently has major investments in Russia, but they can't get him through sanctions. So then they start talking about, oh, we'll figure out a way to make it work, and that's why I'm friends. It's all to make his buddies.
I don't understand what you're saying.
He is going to do his best to make money for him and his homies, and then he passed a tax plan that has very short profits.
You've been
and then,
listening to Nancy Pelosi. I
and then
can
after
tell.
5 years,
Fake news. But so you haven't given me anything that
I
this president
don't-
has done.
Okay,
I think
so
he's
when he
divided this
real.
country
So
in
he-
amazing ways.
Yeah,
He's divided the country.
Absolutely.
In what way?
The way he targets people.
I
the way-
agree with you on that.
He's the biggest narcissist
What
we've
he has
ever
done,
experienced.
He has divided the good from the evil.
There's evil
So
people?
you see the evil liberals, the liberal media, the Democrats, the rhinos, they're all having hissy fits,
Yeah.
while the good folks are supporting the president. So I agree, he's divided the good for the. He reminded me of Jesus. I came to divide the
Right.
good from the evil. So I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't think we do, but that's if you want to keep going in your topics, we can do that.
What has he?
I don't want to spend too much time talking about him. He'll be gone soon enough.
How do you see the Great White Hope?
Well, I don't call him that, but look, when he ran his campaign in the beginning, he started off by insulting his opponent's hands, right? So this is a man who spoke to the television and gave reference to someone's hands in regards to the size of their genitalia.
He responded.
He did what now?
He responded to the hand. He didn't bring that up. Someone else brought
Sure,
it
so
up.
you got a man who got
Another
emotional
person-
and took
No.
offense to...
He's the most emotional of
he's
presidential
all he is
candidates we've
emotional.
ever had.
He's
What
okay.
is the proof
To
that
your
he's
example
emotional?
of emotions, he's someone who responds because he doesn't
then
have
is
control
irrational.
over his feelings, so he
No,
becomes irrational.
You're supposed to respond to the children of the lie.
He's
And
but he's not
they are
responding to the
not
children of the
accustomed.
lie. Is that like the children of the corn? Is it the same kind of thing?
I think it's maybe the sequel.
Oh, cool. I didn't see the first one.
What'd you say?
The children of the lie. You keep saying the children of the lie, and I don't.
I'm talking about
I
the
don't-
liberal media.
But he
the
wasn't. He was. But he was talking
Democratic
to
Party,
someone who wasn't the liberal media.
Trumpers and the
He was-
rhino
So how many
Republicans.
hours of Fox do you watch per day?
None. Maybe one.
Okay.
That's a
I
lot.
have
You
my
go
own show.
deeper than that.
So what do you mean?
Like, where do you get your news from?
I everywhere.
He is the.
I am the news.
He is the
Okay.
news.
Yeah. So
You've never read the
are
New
you
York Times,
happy
correct?
with anything that the president has done thus far?
Am I happy with anything he's done? You know what he has done is he's made it very clear of who is. He's made bigotry much more obvious, which I do appreciate.
I mean, he's definitely united people in regards to if Hillary was in office, we wouldn't know who any of the cabinet members were because we
Right.
would just be trusting it.
Because he's so emotional and so irrational with his
everybody is
emotions,
so
he
deeply
calls
involved.
everyone out, and you get to see everyone's stuff right there in the open.
I'm loving that.
It's a great show,
Yeah.
and I think he's exposing. He exposes himself all the time, so it's kind of like, oh my, he's like a wealth of awful
Madness.
Yes, madness in the term of how you define man, which is
Madness
not how
or
I
madness?
Madness.
M-A-N.
Oh, I thought you said madness.
No,
and
no,
I thought
he
we
said-
were
I
finally
think-
going to get
Have
on board
you ever
together.
seen a man like President Trump before?
Never in
I
my
hope I will
life.
never see another like him.
Have you ever seen a man
No.
like him?
The closest I can come
On The
is
Simpsons, I
The
saw
Sim-
that.
yeah.
Cartoon characters.
But yeah, no. I mean, the only person who comes close is Roy Cohn, his predecessor, his mentor, who is one of the most diabolical, evil real estate people in New York.
I mean, Trump makes Bush look amazing,
Like,
which
wha-
was
I just-
a hard
Let
thing
me
to
ask this.
do.
Like, I respect conservative
Has
values.
the
I
president done
don't.
anything that you think is good since being in office?
I mean, besides uniting everybody against him, I mean, creating
Everybody not united,
a lot
against
of
him.
a lot of people are.
but not everybody.
No.
He is meeting with Little Rocket Man next month.
Kim Jong Un.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see
And
what
what
comes
do you
of
think
this.
of that?
I mean, this is.
Oh boy.
I mean, it's interesting. I don't know how much of it I put into his, how much of it is about the president's bullying versus the fact that Kim Jong Un's nuclear missile launches are not succeeding, and so now he finds himself in a
He
corner.
brought home 3 Americans who were in
Sure.
prison over there.
But we don't know
And they
what
came
he
back
said
this
or
morning.
did to
Again,
get
this
that
is
going.
again. There was certain timing that occurred. Now, if this turns out to be something, it could be like Nixon's, arrival in China. It could be something that proves to be a positive example. My opinion is Kim Jong Un was talking a big game when he thought his missiles were working. They're not working now.
Because we're out of time, give me short, quick answers. Are Latinos in America mentally enslaved in the way that the blacks are mentally enslaved in America? Not all blacks, but most.
I think white people are enslaved.
No, I'm only asking about
mentally.
the antenna,
I think all
Latinos.
Americans are struggling with
How about
certain
the
constructs.
Latinos? Are they mentally enslaved?
I think Latinos more than anybody are not.
They're not mentally enslaved?
No.
And do you agree with Kanye West that most blacks are mentally enslaved
Do I agree with Kanye West that most blacks are mentally enslaved?
in America?
I think that Americans are mentally
How about
enslaved.
most blacks?
No.
Well, I think that if we are Americans, then I guess by logic of the answer.
How about most blacks?
Well, I don't know. I don't know most blacks.
So you don't know if most blacks are mentally
I don't think that most blacks are mentally enslaved.
You do not think so?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Real
That's
fast,
it, right? No.
Bill Cosby, do you think that he was treated fairly in this
I'm
whole
going to pass
trial
that one
thing?
to you. He's got a lot to say on this subject.
Fairly? Fairly. Do I think Bill Cosby was treated fairly? Was it fair? Yeah, I think it was fair. I think it was fair.
Considering the number of women who came out against him,
I think
yes.
it was fair. Yeah, I don't think it was unfair.
You believe the women?
Do I believe the women?
Yes.
And how about you?
I believe that probably he definitely did some awful things to women.
You believe it because they said it?
I believe it
Because there's
because
been
he
proof.
talked about it in his stand-up.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What is love? What is love?
What is love? It's a connectedness. It's a respect. It's empathy for each other. It's there, as Dr. King said, there are several different versions of love. The love that I do my best to share with the world is eye contact and empathy for each other. And rising tides raise all boats.
What is love?
I think it's part of a whole. That
Part of a whole.
I think it's one part of what you need to be fully human. I don't think it's everything. I think it's one part of it.
Amazing. My final question. Did you have fun?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love this. Kidding me? Have me on again. Bring me back every day.
Thanks for watching The Fallen State. We need your continued support. Donate to my nonprofit here. Subscribe and like the videos here. And tell everybody and their mama about the show.